The floodwater clawed at his legs, cold and unrelenting. His canine froze, refusing to step forward. The soldier tugged the line once, twice, but the dog wouldn't move. Then, through the storm, a sound broke the night. A cry. Faint, but enough to still his breath. He whispered, "Where?" The flood pressed against his knees like a living thing. Every step felt heavier than the last, his boots filling with water, straps tugging at his shoulders as if the current wanted to strip him bare. The soldier didn't complain, he never did. Tonight wasn't about comfort. Tonight was about listening. The canine halted. It wasn't a stumble or hesitation from fatigue. The German shepherd stiffened, head low, ears angled forward, every muscle locked in one silent refusal. The soldier tugged the line attached to the dog's harness. "Forward," he said, barely louder than the rain. Nothing. The canine wouldn't budge. Storm noise filled the night. Shingles rattled. A branch cracked somewhere upstream. Floodwater hissed against submerged cars, scraping metal against metal. He waited, rain streaming down his helmet, dripping into his eyes. Then, through the roar, it came. A cry. Thin. Barely there. A thread of sound carried by the wind. His chest tightened. For a second he thought he'd imagined it. The radio at his shoulder popped with static, another unit calling from Maple Street. He ignored it. The cry came again. The soldier crouched, hand pressed to the dog's wet fur. The canine didn't move, didn't look back. Just stared into the dark water ahead, pupils wide, body trembling with instinct. "Where?" the soldier whispered. His voice was more breath than sound. The canine shifted its weight, paw sliding forward, nose pulling toward the far side of the drowned street. He followed the gaze. Past the tilted porch lights. Past the mailbox swallowed up to its number plate. Past the rooflines shivering under rain. Somewhere beyond, hidden by black water and debris, someone had cried out. The soldier's mind began its checklist without him willing it. Distance, 50 meters. Current speed, 3 knots, maybe 4. Debris, unpredictable. Visibility, close to none. Risk, high. But there was still a voice. His radio hissed again. "Unit 3, report position." He clicked once in reply, no words. Talking wasted breath. Explaining wasted seconds. He looked at the dog. The dog looked back, eyes catching the porch light. No doubt in them, no fear. Just certainty. The soldier gripped the tether line wrapped across his chest, gave it 2 sharp pulls. A signal for the crew on the safer end, "Hold me steady." Going in. Wind rattled the street signs like bones. The canine barked once, short, urgent, as if to underline the choice. The soldier stepped deeper into the water. The water didn't forgive mistakes. That truth lived in every rescuer's bones, and tonight it pressed heavier than ever. The soldier felt it in the drag at his legs, in the subtle shift of weight whenever a loose branch or hidden trash can knocked against his shin. The current never stopped testing. Never stopped reminding him who was in charge. He leaned forward into the harness, letting the line across his chest take part of the strain. Behind him, anchored to a lamppost with a climbing knot, 2 other soldiers held the slack, their silhouettes faint through the rain. He trusted them. He had to. But out here, between them and the dark shapes of drowned houses, he was alone, with the dog. The canine pulled slightly left, nose twitching above the water, ears stiff. The soldier let him lead, adjusting his steps with slow precision. The key was not lifting his feet too high, never give the current the chance to take balance. He shuffled, heels sliding into silt, toe nudging forward, weight always low. Every step had to be earned. They passed the skeleton of a sedan. Only the roof was visible now, its windows black sockets under the rain. The soldier used the car as a marker. He knew the grid, had studied the maps before they went under. If that was the blue sedan from Maple and 9th, then the yellow bungalow, the one with the blinking porch light, was 3 houses down. The place where the cry had carried from. The K9 paused again, chest deep now, eyes locked on something ahead. He gave a sharp whine, low in his throat. The soldier followed the gaze. A mailbox post, bent nearly flat, jutted from the water. The number plate was gone, sheared off. Beyond it, something banged in the current, metal against wood. Steady, the soldier breathed. The word was for both of them. He reached with his gloved hand, caught the edge of floating debris, a door, stripped of hinges. He shoved it aside, the wood scraping across his vest. The smell hit him then, gasoline, faint but sour, oily threads curling across the flood's surface. Somewhere close, a tank had cracked. He grimaced inside his helmet. One match, one spark, and the whole street could light. The dog barked, one sharp sound swallowed by rain. Quiet, the soldier hissed. His eyes scanned the house fronts. Windows dark, curtains plastered with water. One porch light flickered again, the bulb glowing, dying, glowing. Electricity should have been cut hours ago. Maybe someone's generator had kicked back. Maybe luck. Either way, the light pulsed like a heartbeat in the storm. Then it came again. The cry. This time closer. Desperate. A child's voice, or maybe an elderly woman, it was hard to tell through the layers of storm. But it was enough. The soldier's spine stiffened. He raised his left arm, signaling toward the crew on the anchor line. 2 short waves, voice heard. Proceeding. They answered with one beam of flashlight, quick and low, acknowledgement without noise. The soldier tightened his grip on the K9's harness. Forward, he said. The word was steady, but his chest was tight. The dog obeyed. Step by step, they pushed toward the bungalow. The water climbed, nearly at the soldier's chest now, cold burning through layers of fabric. His gear was heavier, pulling at his shoulders. He forced breath out through clenched teeth, the way they'd taught him: conserve, control, never let panic feed the storm. A shape drifted toward them, sofa cushions, waterlogged, bobbing in the current. He shoved them aside. His boot struck something solid below, a fence post, still anchored. He stumbled, almost lost footing, then steadied with a curse. The dog didn't falter. 50 meters shrank to 30. The porch rail came into focus. A sagging swing chair clung to its chains, half underwater. Each time the current slapped it against the rail, the sound carried, metallic, hollow, like a warning bell. The soldier unclipped his carabiner, hooked it to the porch rail, tugged twice to test. Solid enough. He took one deep breath, eyes scanning windows for movement. K9, stay. The dog bristled, whining, but obeyed, paws planted firm against the porch step now submerged halfway. The soldier pressed against the siding, leaning close to the nearest window. Inside was darkness. He cupped his hand, shielding against glare, peered in. For a moment, nothing, just shadows, floating objects, water lapping halfway up the sill. Then, faint. Movement. Something brushed the inside of the glass. Fingers. Small. Weak. The soldier's breath caught. His voice dropped, steady but urgent. I see you. Hold on. The fingers vanished below the waterline. He jerked back, fumbling for his tool. The glass would have to break. But breaking meant surge, water pressure forcing in, dragging everything with it. Risk for the one inside. Risk for him. His hand hesitated on the grip. His training screamed to calculate. His gut screamed to act. Behind him, the dog barked again, louder, urgent, refusing silence. And from inside, the cry, muffled, drowned, but clear. "Help!" The soldier's breath fogged inside the visor as he pressed a palm flat against the wet siding. The bungalow leaned, groaning as the current tugged at its base. It was still holding, but only just. Each gust of wind rattled the loose gutters, a tinny clatter swallowed by rain. He could feel the house's fragility in his bones. The K9 barked again, low and sharp. The soldier raised his hand without looking back. "Stay," he whispered, steadying his own heartbeat with the command. The window resisted under his grip. Old wood frame swollen with water, glass smeared with grime. He knew he had two choices: force entry here, or circle to the door half submerged at the porch's edge. The cry still echoed in his ears, thin, desperate. He had no guarantee the door wasn't jammed. His gloved hand closed tighter on the rescue tool, a tempered steel hammer with a pointed tip. He positioned it near the corner of the glass, where pressure was weakest. One controlled strike. The glass cracked with a spiderweb burst. A hiss of water surged, pushing against his arm. He struck again, harder this time. Shards fell inward, vanishing under the rising level inside. The current pressed against him now, eager to equalize. He shoved his shoulder into the opening, fighting the surge until the pressure steadied. "Hold on," he called, voice straining against the storm. Inside, the darkness shifted. For a moment he thought it was debris floating. Then he saw the fingers again, pale, trembling, clinging to a half-sunken dresser wedged against the wall. The soldier exhaled, slow and deliberate, centering himself. "I see you. Don't let go." He reached in, one arm slicing through the cold, hand searching. His gloves brushed against skin, clammy and small. A wrist. He gripped tight, testing the strength of the response. The hand squeezed weakly back. Relief flared for a second, but seconds were all the flood allowed. He couldn't drag the person out through the narrow window frame. The dresser blocked their movement, and the water inside was already pressing hard against the sill. He had to get in. He clipped his line to the rail again, tugged twice to signal. The crew at the anchor would know, going inside. The K9 whined, shifting on the submerged step. The soldier gave one last look at him, their eyes meeting in the rain. "Guard," he ordered. The dog braced, chest deep, watching every move. The soldier ducked under the frame and pushed through the broken window. The cold struck like knives as he forced his body through the opening. Water swallowed him to the chest the moment he was inside. The air was dank, stinking of mildew and gasoline. Household objects floated by, photographs swollen in their frames, a child's plastic truck bobbing, cushions bleeding their stuffing like seaweed. His boots scraped the floor. He tested it with weight, still intact, though every groan of the house warned it wouldn't last forever. He waded forward, water sloshing at chin level now, headlamp beams slicing through murk. "Where are you?" he called. A cough answered, wet and choking. His light caught the face of a boy, no older than 8, half perched on the dresser, clinging with one arm. Water lapped at his chest. His lips were blue. The soldier's throat tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "I've got you." The boy shook his head weakly, eyes darting downward. Only then did the soldier see what held him back. His other arm was trapped between the dresser and the wall, pinned by the force of the water pressing everything tight. The soldier stepped closer, fighting the drag. He braced both hands on the dresser, shoving with his weight. It didn't budge. He tried lifting, then pulling, every muscle straining. Nothing. The current had wedged it immovable. The boy whimpered. "Don't let him find me," he whispered. The words slipped out so faintly the soldier almost thought he'd misheard. His gut tightened, but he shoved the unease aside. There was no time for questions. "I won't," he said firmly. "You're safe. Look at me." The boy's eyes clung to his, watery, desperate. The soldier nodded once, decisive. "We're getting you out." He unclipped the multi-tool from his vest, flicked open the pry bar. He wedged it between the dresser's swollen edge and the wall. The metal squealed as he levered down, wood grinding under the strain. His boots slipped against the floor, water sucking at his legs. He grunted, pushed harder. The dresser shifted a fraction, just enough for the boy to gasp in pain as his arm loosened. The soldier drove his shoulder against the tool, ignoring the protest in his muscles. Finally, the gap widened. "Pull!" he barked. The boy wrenched his arm free, crying out. The soldier caught him instantly, hauling him up against his chest. The boy's weight was nothing compared to his gear, but in water, every movement doubled in cost. He turned toward the window. The opening looked smaller now, crowded with debris drifting against the frame. He could already hear the creak of the house under pressure. The boy buried his face against his vest, coughing. "Help me," he sobbed. The soldier tightened his grip, lifting him higher onto his shoulder. His other hand reached for the tether line. He gave 3 sharp tugs, package secured. "Pull steady." The line went taut. But the soldier knew this wasn't over. Between him and the opening lay more than water. Furniture shifted with every current surge. A table slammed against his thigh, a lamp tangled in his strap. And outside, the K9 barked again, sharper now, warning of something unseen in the dark. The soldier drew a deep breath, steeling himself. The boy's weight clung to him, fragile but alive. He set his sights on the window, on the faint light spilling in from the storm outside. "Hold on to me," he ordered. And he pushed forward into the flood. The boy clung to the soldier's shoulder like a lifeline, small fingers locked into the fabric of his vest. His breaths came shallow, each one rattling, carrying the edge of panic. The soldier kept a hand firm across the child's back, steady pressure, letting him feel the promise of safety even while his own chest throbbed with the weight of the rising water. The window ahead looked impossibly narrow. Shards of broken glass jutted from the frame, slick and jagged. Rain streamed in from the outside, blurring the faint light of a flickering porch lamp. Every second, the current inside the house pressed harder, funneled by the breach he had made. "Stay with me," he murmured. He wasn't sure if the boy could hear over the storm's roar, but the words were as much for himself as for him. The soldier braced one boot against the dresser that had trapped the boy moments before and lunged toward the opening. His shoulders scraped the frame. He twisted sideways, shielding the boy with his own body as debris slammed into his legs, an overturned chair, a cushion swollen to the size of a barrel. Outside, the K9 barked again, closer now. The sound cut through the soldier like a signal flare. His partner hadn't moved from the porch step. The dog knew exactly where they were, refusing to leave. "Almost there," he muttered. The boy whimpered against his neck, the word barely audible, "Don't let him find me." The soldier frowned, brow tightening. He wanted to ask who him was, but the current seized his footing then, jerking his legs out from under him. He crashed against the wall, shoulders slamming into plaster that dissolved under impact. Pain jolted down his arm. His grip on the child never faltered. He kicked, forcing himself upright again. Water surged up past his chin. He tilted his head, gasping, shoving the boy higher onto his shoulder. The child coughed, water spraying from his mouth. "Hold me," the soldier growled. The boy's arms cinched tighter around his neck. The tether line across his chest pulled taut. The anchor crew outside had felt the strain, beginning to reel him in. He dug his boots into the submerged floor, adding his own drive to their pull. Inch by inch, he pressed forward. At last, the window frame loomed within reach. He jammed his free elbow against the sill, feeling the broken glass scrape across his sleeve. He didn't care. He shoved the boy through first. 2 hands reached from outside. One of the crew had waded up the porch step, bracing against the rail. They hauled the child free, pulling him out into the storm. The soldier exhaled once, relief flooding him for a single heartbeat. Then the house groaned. The sound was deep, terrible, wooden beams surrendering, foundation grinding against earth. He had felt that sound before, in training simulations. A structure seconds away from giving way. He had to move. Now. He lunged for the opening, twisting his body sideways, dragging himself through. The current shoved against his back, eager to claim him. Debris pinned his leg for a moment, a table edge jammed against the frame. He snarled, drove his boot against it, tearing free. The soldier exploded out into the open flood, chest heaving as cold rain lashed his face. The tether line yanked taut again as the crew pulled harder. He let them take the strain, arms sweeping water, boots kicking against submerged porch steps. The K9 surged forward, teeth gripping the back strap of his vest, lending strength. Then the house collapsed. The sound was a roar of splintering wood, snapping nails, and rushing water. The porch lamp flared once and died. The structure shuddered and folded inward, vanishing beneath the black current. Spray drenched the soldier's face as he shielded his eyes, coughing hard. His lungs burned. But the boy's cry pierced through it all, a choked sob from where the crew held him above water on the lamppost anchor. Alive. The soldier dragged himself up the last step of the porch, boots scraping on submerged wood. The K9 barked furiously, shaking water from its coat, eyes never leaving him. He collapsed against the rail for a moment, chest heaving, muscles trembling with exhaustion. "You're out," one of the crew shouted, grabbing his harness to steady him. "We've got the kid, he's breathing." The soldier nodded once, spitting floodwater from his mouth. He turned his head, meeting the boy's wide, terrified eyes. The child clung to the rescuer who held him, lips quivering, but alive. For a moment, a rare moment, relief broke through the storm. He had made it. The boy was safe. But then, the boy's words echoed in his mind again. "Don't let him find me." The soldier frowned, rain dripping from his helmet brim. He opened his mouth to ask the boy what he meant. But before he could speak, the dog stiffened again. The K9's ears shot forward, body rigid, a low growl rolling from its chest. Its gaze was locked not on the ruined house, but on the black water beyond, where the current churned unnaturally, as if something heavy moved beneath the surface. The soldier's stomach dropped. He followed the line of the dog's stare. And in that instant, the storm felt darker. The soldier steadied himself against the porch rail, rain hammering his helmet and streaming down his faceplate. His chest still rose and fell like a bellows, lungs stinging from the fight inside the house. Beside him, the K9 stood stiff, water lapping its chest, every muscle coiled like a spring. The growl cut through the noise of the storm, low, continuous, vibrating against the soldier's ribs through the leash in his hand. The dog's hackles bristled, its eyes fixed on the black churn just beyond the porch steps. The soldier followed the gaze. At first, it was only water, broken by rain and current. But then, something darker shifted beneath the surface, too steady to be debris. The ripples spread outward in rings, the flood bulging unnaturally before flattening again. Behind him, one of the crew raised his voice over the storm. "We've got to move. Bridge point's almost gone." The soldier turned his head, saw the boy being secured in a rescue sling, clipped to a secondary line. Two men were already pulling him toward the street's safer edge. The child's small arms clutched at whoever held him, head tucked down against the rain. Safe for now. But the K9 didn't move. Its throat rumbled with warning, ears sharp, gaze unbreaking. "What is it?" the soldier muttered, more to himself than to the dog. He shifted his stance, scanning the water. His training told him to catalog possibilities: submerged vehicle shifting in the current, a propane tank rolling, structural collapse still echoing through the flood. Then the boy's voice carried back, high and cracked, barely holding against the storm. "Don't let him find me." The soldier's chest tightened. He looked sharply at the child, but the boy had buried his face again, sobbing. The crew hauling him didn't even hear the words over the rain. But the soldier had. So had the dog. The canine barked once, explosive, teeth bared at the water. The soldier unclipped a flare from his vest, snapped it against his thigh. The red glow hissed to life, casting a bloody halo over the flood. He hurled it into the current, the light spinning as it landed. For a heartbeat, it floated, halo trembling. Then it vanished. Pulled under as though something had swallowed it. The soldier's jaw locked. Instinct screamed at him to back up, to regroup with the others, but the dog strained at the leash, dragging toward the water's edge. Its training was flawless. This wasn't panic. This was focus. "Easy," he said, but his voice had lost its steadiness. He tightened his grip, his eyes sweeping the black tide. The flood groaned, a sound carried through structures buckling under pressure. A refrigerator bobbed past, striking the collapsed porch remains with a thud. The soldier scanned the surface, then the boy again. The child's eyes were wide now, fixed on him, as though begging him silently to understand. "Who?" the soldier called across the rain, his voice harsher than intended. "Who are you afraid of?" The boy only shook his head, trembling, his words lost in the storm. Another tug on the tether line, crew urging him back. He ignored it. He couldn't yet. The canine barked again, 3 times in sharp rhythm, tail rigid. Not random. A signal. Something was wrong beneath the surface, something alive, or moving with intent. The soldier's muscles coiled. He unhooked the long line from his chest, giving the anchor team a sharp wave to slacken. "Cover me," he shouted. One of the men cursed but nodded, gripping the rope harder. The soldier and dog edged off the submerged step, back into the current. Water surged at chest height, pulling hard at their torsos. The canine fought forward, nostrils flaring, ears rigid. The red flare glow pulsed faintly below, twisting deeper. The soldier narrowed his eyes, heart hammering. He could feel it now, not just the current, but a drag, a weight beneath the water pulling against its own path. The dog barked once more, frantic now, and the soldier finally heard it too. A metallic screech from below, then silence. Something enormous shifted in the dark. For an instant, the storm seemed to pause, the rain's hiss swallowed by the rush of blood in his ears. His grip on the leash tightened until his knuckles whitened. He lowered his head, water pelting his helmet. The canine pulled harder, nearly dragging him forward. The soldier whispered under his breath, steadying himself the way he always did before breaching a door or entering fire, "With me." And then, together, they pushed further into the black water, toward whatever waited underneath. The leash trembled in his hand, every muscle of the dog vibrating with warning. The soldier's boots slid over unseen ground, catching on debris he couldn't identify. Each step forward was a gamble, something solid or something that would give way under his weight. The water pressed harder now, chest high, pushing against his ribs with each surge. The storm's roar blurred with the pounding in his skull. He adjusted his stance, leaned forward, one arm steady on the leash, the other brushing through the surface, searching for any sign, any clue. The flare's glow was gone. Swallowed whole. That alone was enough to rattle his training. Objects floated, yes. Current dragged, yes. But nothing pulled downward like that, not unless it had mass. The canine barked again, sharp, guttural, almost frantic. Its nose skimmed the water, teeth bared. The dog lunged forward once, straining against the harness, nearly pulling the soldier off balance. "Easy," he snapped, but he didn't pull back. If the animal insisted, there was reason. The dog had saved his life more times than training manuals ever could. Instinct saw what human eyes missed. He scanned the black water, every ripple suspicious. A couch cushion bumped against his hip, he shoved it aside. Something heavier brushed his boot, metallic, smooth. He crouched instinctively, reaching down, glove grazing cold steel. A vehicle roofline, submerged, invisible in the dark. He realized what the dog had sensed. The collapsed house hadn't been the only trap in this street. A car, maybe more than one, was pinned beneath the surge, current shifting around it. And if there was a car, there could be people still trapped inside. The soldier cursed under his breath. He tightened his grip on the leash, pulled the dog close, forcing its nose higher. "Stay with me," he muttered, though his own voice shook. Behind him, the anchor line tugged, 2 short poles. Status? He ignored it. There was no way to explain what instinct and gut told him, no way to justify without proof. He needed proof. He needed eyes under the surface. He took one deep breath, slid a hand along the tether at his chest, then pressed down with his boots, submerging into the black. Cold enveloped him instantly, slicing through fabric, crawling across his scalp. His headlamp cut only a few feet into the murk before vanishing into brown silt. His heartbeat thundered in his ears louder than the storm above. Shapes formed slowly in the beam. A car, sedan, 4-door, color drowned a gray, angled against a collapsed fence. Its windows were black, back wheels lifted, front end buried. The current shoved debris against it, tree branches, a trash bin, broken wood. He swam closer, hand brushing the roof. His glove tapped glass, moved to the side window. Nothing stirred inside. He kicked downward, checked the rear. No movement. Just silence, oppressive and endless. He pushed toward the driver's side, then froze. Fingers pressed faintly against the inside of the glass. His lungs tightened instantly. He kicked closer, headlamp beam catching pale skin. A hand, trembling, sliding weakly against the pane. Someone was still inside. The soldier's instincts screamed up the tether to his anchor team, but his radio was muffled, useless underwater. He reached instead for the multi-tool at his vest, unclipped it with shaking hands. His mind calculated, angle of strike, pressure differential, water already high inside. Break the glass, and the cabin would flood instantly. Whoever was inside would have one chance to move. He positioned the pointed edge, pressed to the corner of the glass. His chest ached, oxygen thinning. He struck hard. The crack was immediate, spiderwebbing outward. A rush of bubbles burst into his face. He struck again, harder, body trembling from effort. The pane shattered inward, a surge of water exploding into the car. For a terrifying moment, nothing emerged. His lungs screamed for air. Then, a figure lurched forward, hair trailing in the current, arms flailing weakly. The soldier grabbed fast, locking a hand around the wrist, dragging the body toward him. He kicked furiously upward, pulling the survivor free of the frame, forcing their body through the window. Darkness pressed closer, his chest burning with fire. He knew he had seconds, no more. He drove upward, legs pumping, dragging the limp form behind him. His vision tunneled, spots of light flaring across his eyes. And then, air. He broke the surface with a ragged gasp, hauling the body up. He coughed violently, chest seizing, but never loosened his grip. The K9 barked furiously beside him, splashing against the current to steady them both. The survivor sputtered, water pouring from their mouth. A woman, mid-30s, maybe, eyes rolled back, body convulsing as she fought for breath. She clung to him instinctively, nails digging into his vest. "Got you," he rasped, voice shredded by water. "Stay with me. You're out." The tether line jerked tight, the crew pulling him back toward the porch. He let it drag them, his own limbs too heavy to fight anymore. He only held the woman, head above water, his chest burning with every breath. The dog barked again, never letting up, never leaving his side. As they neared the lamppost anchor, the soldier caught sight of the boy again. Wide eyes, pale face, lips trembling. He was safe, yes, but the fear hadn't left him. The boy whispered through his sobs, words lost to almost everyone in the storm. But the soldier, close enough, heard them. "You shouldn't have pulled her out," the boy said, voice breaking. "Now he'll come." The soldier froze, staring at the child even as the crew pulled the woman from his arms. The storm howled louder, and the K9 growled once more. The woman collapsed against the crew's arms as they hauled her onto the temporary platform, an old porch railing reinforced with ropes. She coughed violently, water pouring from her mouth, eyes rolling, body jerking in shallow spasms. The medic wrapped an arm around her, fingers pressed hard against her back until the worst of it passed. She was breathing. Barely, but breathing. The soldier leaned against the porch beam, dragging in air. Each breath seared like fire in his chest, his lungs raw from the dive. He wiped rain from his visor with the back of his glove, but it didn't matter, everything was blurred, shifting, too dark to read. He turned toward the boy. The child sat huddled in a sling, arms locked around his knees, eyes wide in the stormlight. His small frame shook, whether from cold or fear, the soldier couldn't tell. But the words he had whispered still rang in the soldier's head. "You shouldn't have pulled her out. Now he'll come." The soldier crouched lower, voice steady but firm, pitched to cut through the roar without adding weight. "Who'll come?" The boy didn't answer. His gaze darted to the rescued woman, then back to the black water that lapped hungrily at the porch steps. His lips quivered, but he pressed them shut, refusing. The K9 growled again. Louder this time, teeth bared, eyes fixed on the shifting current. Rain streaked over the dog's fur, tail rigid. The soldier's gut clenched. The animal had locked onto something specific. The current shifted oddly again, dragging debris in spirals instead of straight lines. A chair spun lazily, then shot forward as though tugged from below. The soldier's instincts screamed, this wasn't normal flow. Something beneath them shaped the water. One of the crew noticed too. "Sir, we need to fall back. Whole block's compromised." His voice carried urgency, but he hadn't seen what the dog had. The soldier straightened. "One more sweep," he said, curt. The man stared at him, then swore under his breath, tightening his grip on the tether. They'd follow him. They always did. The soldier clipped himself again, checked the line twice, then dropped his eyes back to the boy. "Stay with them. Don't move." The boy finally spoke, voice thin, cracked. "You can't stop him." The soldier didn't reply. He turned back to the dog. "With me." The K9 leapt into the water beside him, bark sharp, echoing against the drowned houses. The soldier pushed forward, current clawing at his waist, rain stabbing like needles across his face. The tether line dragged tight across his chest, anchor crew bracing. He scanned every ripple, every bulge of water, every flicker of movement beneath the surface. A log bumped against his thigh. He shoved it away. A bicycle frame spun past, rattling. His eyes cut deeper into the dark, searching. Then he heard it. Not a cry. Not a voice. Something heavier. A thud beneath the current, deep and resonant, as though something vast had shifted against stone. The dog barked wildly, straining forward. The soldier tightened his grip, scanning. The beam of his headlamp caught a shape, half submerged, pressed against the side of a drowned SUV. Not debris. Too still, too upright. A figure. The soldier's chest contracted. Someone was there, pinned against the vehicle, head just above waterline, unmoving. He surged forward, water fighting every step. "I see you," he shouted, though the wind tore the words to shreds. His boots struck metal, his gloves slapped cold glass. the figure didn't respond. He leaned closer. It was a man, middle-aged, face pale, eyes closed, body held against the car by current. His shirt was torn, arm at an unnatural angle. The soldier pressed 2 fingers against the man's neck, searching. A faint pulse. Alive. Got him, he called over his shoulder. The dog barked again, frantic, but this time the soldier ignored it. He wedged an arm around the limp body, heaving upward. The current slammed them both against the SUV. Pain lit up his ribs. He ground his teeth, adjusted, tried again. Finally, the man tore free, collapsing against him. Dead weight in the water, but not lost. The tether line jerked hard, anchor crew responding, pulling them back toward the lamppost. The soldier let the drag help, his own arms numb from the effort. The K9 swam at his side, teeth clenched on the harness strap, lending balance. They reached the porch again. The crew leaned out, hauled the unconscious man up, dragging him clear of the flood. The soldier stumbled against the railing, boots scraping for purchase. The medic bent over the man, pressing hard against his chest, counting under his breath. Nothing. Then, water spilled from the man's mouth. His chest heaved once, a ragged breath. Alive. Relief should have come. Instead, the boy screamed. The sound tore through the storm, shrill and panicked, more than just fear, it was terror. His small hands clawed at the sling straps, eyes locked on the man they had just saved. No! Not him. You shouldn't have saved him. The soldier spun toward him, stunned. The crew froze, staring between boy and rescuer. The rescued woman stared too, eyes wide with a fear that matched the child's. The soldier stepped closer, rain blurring his vision. What are you talking about? He demanded. The boy's voice cracked into sobs. He'll bring him. Don't you understand? He'll come now. The soldier's stomach turned to stone. His eyes shifted to the man lying limp on the boards, chest heaving shallow breaths. The K9 growled again, louder than before, the sound vibrating through the flooded street. The dog's gaze never left the unconscious man. And in that instant, the soldier understood, the danger wasn't finished. It had only just begun. The soldier stood drenched, chest heaving, one hand gripping the railing for balance. His other hand clenched the leash, feeling every tremor of the K9's body. The dog's growl deepened, hackles raised, lips peeled back in a snarl that carried through the storm. The rescued man lay on the boards, coughing shallowly, each breath rattling. The medic hovered over him, hands pressing, checking pupils, muttering vitals the way training drilled. But every eye, crew, boy, woman, had shifted from relief to unease. The boy's scream hadn't faded, it had broken into sobs, his voice hoarse. Why did you pull him out? You weren't supposed to. Don't you get it? He'll find us now. The soldier crouched low, meeting the child's wild eyes. Who? He demanded, rain dripping from his helmet brim. Who's coming? The boy only shook his head violently, tears mingling with storm water. His chest hitched as though the answer itself would shatter him. The woman reached for him, trembling hand clutching his shoulder, eyes locked on the unconscious man. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her face carried the same terror. The soldier rose again, jaw tight. The K9 barked once, sharp and vicious, tugging against the harness as though trying to lunge forward. The soldier's grip held him back, but barely. Then the unconscious man stirred. His head rolled to the side, lips parting. A groan slipped out, low and guttural, carrying something unnatural only because it didn't belong here, something heavy, deliberate, almost as if waking was an effort the world didn't want him to make. The boy shrieked again, covering his ears. Don't let him breathe. Please, don't let him. The soldier's pulse spiked. Training screamed protocol, stabilize the injured, secure the scene, evacuate. But instinct, the gut that had kept him alive in firefights, in burning structures, in flood rescues just like this, told him the danger wasn't the water anymore. It was this man. The canine lunged, barking savagely, leash tearing at his glove. The dog's eyes burned with something primal, absolute. No hesitation, no confusion. This was threat recognition. The crew looked to him, uncertainty plain on their faces. One shouted over the rain, "Sir?" "Orders?" "Orders." He had to choose. He knelt by the man, placed 2 fingers against his throat. The pulse was there, stronger now, thudding against his skin. The man's chest rose and fell, each breath steadier than the last. Alive, recovering. Standard procedure would dictate they secure him, evac him alongside the others. But the boy's sobs echoed, "You shouldn't have saved him. Now he'll come." The soldier glanced at the tether line. They could haul survivors back now, one by one, to the staging ground upstream. Safer ground. But carrying this man meant carrying whatever shadow the boy feared. The dog growled again, snapping its jaws inches from the man's arm. The soldier yanked the leash back, muscles straining, but the message was clear. The K9 wanted him away from the others. The medic met the soldier's eyes, rain dripping from his lashes. "He's breathing. If we move now, he'll make it." The soldier's voice was rough, torn between duty and instinct. "And if we move him, what else are we bringing?" The question chilled even under the storm. No one answered. The soldier's gaze shifted back to the boy. The child's hands clutched the sling ropes, knuckles white. His voice cracked again, whispering through his sobs, "Choose." Thunder ripped the sky apart, drowning everything for a second. The house ruins groaned under the current, collapsing further. Debris slammed against the porch rail, shuddering it in its joints. The soldier stared at the man on the boards, pale under stormlight, chest rising, lips twitching as if words wanted to form but couldn't. He stared at the boy, trembling, eyes begging him to see what he saw. He stared at the K9, the one creature here with no conflict, no doubt, only certainty. Every decision he had ever made in uniform had been clear in retrospect. This one wasn't. This one could split him. He gripped the leash tighter, leaned closer to the man, and whispered, not to him, but to himself, to steady his heart. One chance. The K9 barked, furious, straining against the leash. The boy screamed again, voice breaking, "No!" And the soldier realized there was no saving everyone tonight. Not really. Not the way he wanted. He had to choose. The storm pressed down on them all, a wall of noise and water, as if the sky itself had collapsed into the street. The soldier's chest rose and fell in harsh rhythm, every muscle alive with fatigue and doubt. His gloved fist tightened around the leash until it bit into his palm. The K9's growl throbbed through the rope like a current, a steady vibration of warning. The unconscious man lay sprawled across the porch boards, coughing shallowly, breaths rattling as though each one cost more than the last. The medic hovered, hands frozen in hesitation, eyes flicking to the soldier for orders he couldn't give. The boy's voice broke through the chaos, thin but piercing. "Don't let him go with us. Please." His eyes were wide, shimmering with rain and terror, his small body trembling against the sling straps. The woman wrapped her arms around him, but she didn't hush him. She looked at the soldier, too, her face carved with the same fear. The soldier's instincts pulled in 2 directions. Training screamed, "Evacuate all survivors. Everyone lives if possible." Instinct, the gut sense honed through years in uniform, said something darker, "This man changes everything." The K9 lunged again, barking savagely, straining to break free. The soldier pulled back hard, boots grinding against soaked wood. The dog had never done this before, not in drills, not in deployments, not in disasters. The animal had saved him from fire, from hidden tripwires, from drowning currents. And now it wanted him away from this man. The unconscious figure stirred. Lips parted, whispering something lost beneath the roar of rain. The soldier bent closer, straining to catch it. The sound came again, garbled, guttural, almost not language. His stomach turned cold. The boy shrieked, voice cracking against thunder. "He's calling him. Don't you hear it? He's calling." The soldier's jaw clenched. He looked at the boy, then at the K9, then back at the man. The decision pressed on him like the weight of the flood itself. One of the crew shouted, panic edging his voice. "Sir! We have to move. Street's going, look." The soldier turned. Down the block, water surged higher, carrying entire porch rails, half-roofs, shattered furniture. The current had picked up speed. Their anchor post shuddered, rope groaning under strain. The whole line could snap if they delayed. Time was gone. The soldier's breath rasped in his chest. He forced himself to stand tall, shoulders squared against the storm. He gave one sharp order, secure the boy and the woman. Move them first. The crew obeyed instantly, hauling the sling line taut, pulling the survivors towards safer ground upstream. The boy screamed, fighting against the straps, arms reaching back toward the soldier. "Don't bring him! Don't let him come!" The K9 barked in chorus, furious, fighting the leash until its chest heaved. The soldier turned to the medic. "Stabilize him. Now." The medic hesitated, eyes wide. "Sir? Do it." The medic pressed hard on the unconscious man's chest, forcing rhythm into failing lungs. The man gasped once, a wet rattle, then coughed water violently. His eyes flickered open, pale and unfocused. The soldier stared down at him, rain dripping from his helmet. "You're alive," he said flatly. It sounded less like relief and more like accusation. The man's lips moved. One word slipped out, rasped, broken, but clear. "Soon." The boy screamed again in the distance, thrashing against the sling. The woman clutched him tighter, sobbing. The soldier's blood chilled. He looked at the K9. The dog's body was rigid, teeth bared, throat vibrating with a growl deeper than he had ever heard before. Its eyes locked on the man as though nothing else existed in the world. The tether line jerked behind him. The crew was ready to move, desperate to get out before the current tore the block away. The soldier stood at the edge of decision, his voice drowned in storm, his thoughts louder than thunder. Training, instinct, fear, loyalty, all colliding in the space of a single breath. The boy's final cry echoed back through the rain. "Choose." And for the first time in his career, the soldier realized there was no right answer, only the one he could live with when the storm was over. The soldier's boots slid against the porch boards, water swirling higher around his thighs. The tether line at his chest trembled, anchor crew pulling tighter, shouting for evacuation. The storm was no longer something he fought, it was something that wanted to erase them all. The boy's cries faded into distance as the sling dragged him upstream, away from the block. His last words still hung in the soldier's ears, "Choose." The soldier's grip tightened on the leash. The K9 snarled at the rescued man, body rigid, teeth flashing each time lightning split the sky. The animal's entire being screamed one thing: this man is not to be trusted. The rescued man coughed, body twisting weakly. His eyes opened, pale, watery, almost blank, but they found the soldier. His lips parted, voice hoarse. "It's too late. He knows now." The soldier's jaw clenched. "Who?" His voice cut like steel. The man coughed again, water dribbling from the corner of his mouth. He smiled faintly, a twisted shape that looked out of place on his battered face. One word left his throat. "Coming." The soldier's stomach turned cold. He looked at the medic, who froze mid-motion, unsure if they were saving a man or cradling something worse. He looked at the crew, their eyes wide, their hands white-knuckled on the rope. And he looked at the K9, whose certainty never wavered. The soldier had led men into burning houses, pulled victims from collapsed buildings, dragged civilians out from under gunfire. Each time, instinct had guided him. Tonight, instinct didn't tell him to save. It told him to protect. He gave the sharpest command of his career. Move the others out. Now. The crew hesitated. One tried to protest, but his eyes cut like a blade. They obeyed. The line went taut as they dragged the boy, the woman, the half-conscious man further up toward higher ground. The storm swallowed them quickly. That left him. Him, the dog, and the man on the boards. The soldier crouched, rain streaming down his helmet, visor dripping. He leaned close, voice low, words meant only for the man beneath him. You breathe because I let you. But understand, if what comes for us is because of you, I'll end it here. The man's eyes fluttered. His lips moved once more. A whisper, soft, almost tender. You won't have the choice. The soldier's chest tightened. His hand flexed on the leash. The K9 lunged, snarling, leash straining. For a heartbeat the soldier nearly let him go. Nearly. But training overrode instinct by a thread. He pulled the dog back hard, muscles burning, every tendon screaming. The dog whined with fury but obeyed, pressed against his leg, never taking eyes off the man. The current surged violently, slamming debris against the porch. A section of the railing gave way, collapsing into the water. Spray drenched them all. The soldier staggered, boots scrambling. The tether jerked, rope straining. Extraction. Now, he barked into the radio. His voice was nearly swallowed, but the anchor team heard. The line went taut, dragging them inch by inch toward higher ground. The porch gave another groan, boards ripping free, water swallowing the space they had stood only seconds before. The soldier shoved the man ahead, hauling him by the collar, K9 pressed to his side. He didn't look back. He didn't dare. Each step was a battle against current and gravity. His boots slipped, caught, slipped again. The rope dragged. His lungs burned. Then, suddenly, ground. Higher footing. The current thinned. The anchor crew's hands reached, pulling them all onto firmer boards lashed between lampposts. The soldier collapsed to his knees, chest heaving. The K9 pressed close, body trembling but eyes still locked on the man they'd dragged out. The rescued figure coughed again, rolling to his side, alive but far from safe. The boy's voice carried again, shrill through the storm. You don't understand. He's not supposed to leave here. The soldier looked at him, rain dripping down his jaw, eyes burning with exhaustion and questions. He wanted answers. He wanted clarity. But the boy only wept harder, clinging to the woman's arm. The soldier turned back toward the flood. The block they'd fought to cross was gone, houses reduced to debris churning downstream. The storm still raged, but he felt the weight of silence inside himself. He had chosen. Not right, not wrong, just chosen. The K9 whined softly now, leaning against his leg, eyes never leaving the man. The soldier laid a gloved hand on the dog's head, steady pressure. Easy, he whispered. But his own voice shook. Behind them, the rescued man whispered again, breath barely carrying. Soon. The soldier's eyes closed for a moment, rain dripping down his face. His hand tightened on the leash, the only anchor he trusted. And in the storm's fury, beneath all the noise, a single thought beat in his chest like a drum. It wasn't over. Not tonight. Not ever.